Migration has always been part of life in the Horn of Africa. Across the region, people move in search of work, education, safety, family reunification, and new opportunities. Yet migration is often discussed through headlines focused on crisis, displacement, or irregular movement. Today, we explore the broader picture. What does migration really mean for the IGAD region? How can countries work together to make migration safer and more beneficial? And what role can migration play in shaping the future of regional integration and development? Joining us today is Mr. Ibrahim Kasso, Project Operations Coordinator at Regional Migration Fund from IGAD Health and Social Development Division. Welcome to IGAD 1.
Thank you very much, Bilan, for having me. Yes, you are totally right. Migration is really defining our region in many aspects. The first fact is that migration in our region is intra-regional by its very nature. And it is historical ties. It is a means of the survival and the livelihood for our communities. Basically, our communities are mainly pastoralist and crossing borders, making livelihoods, family connections, businesses. So migration in our region has historical root, and it has been really long time been there. And in recent days, however, is challenged by issues like climate change, which exacerbates the mobility of people from their base to another locations in search of water, pasture, livelihood, and also alternative income. It is considered as a strategy or adaptation strategy and also resilience strategy to climate change. Mobility as a big means of adaptation and resilience strategy. Indeed, the other feature of migration in our region is that it is a labor mobility that is more factor within our region and also beyond, where the young youth populations are going in search of opportunities elsewhere out of our region, and also really making a livelihood to their countries of origin in the form of remittances, in the form of skill and knowledge transfer. So migration is really have a fundamental factors and it's part of the social fabric of the society of the IGAD region. Of course, the most aspect of it is recently characterized by also instability and conflict in our region, which triggers millions of people from their home. And this gives migration a circular nature. So people are displaced from their home, they go into displaced and make refuge and also return and again displaced. So which gives also the circular migration pattern, which requires our member state and our region to manage migration better. So from the very fact, migration is unstoppable, but it can be managed well for the benefits of the communities. Yes.
Okay. So migration, as you explained right now, is usually portrayed as a crisis or a challenge. Why is it important to also recognize migration as a drive for development and opportunity? Because looking at it from a positive perspective.
Yeah, that will take us to the migration and development relationship and the dynamics, which in a sense, migration by its very nature is not a challenge because it is the nature of migration and the way it is managed that makes it problem, because the paths of absence of the regular paths to migration will lead to the irregular migration where the young population from our region are putting their life at risk. In this case, migration is more challenging than the benefit. However, when migration is well managed in a sense where it is safe, regular, and orderly, it is beneficial to the countries of origin, first to the individual, to the migrant itself, for the youth, and also to the families, and as well to countries of origin, and of course to the countries of destination. So the perspective of migration and development is both ways, to the countries of origin and also to the countries of destinations. In that respect, migration is labeled generally as beneficial to the economic development of the society, of the household, of the individual, and also of the region when it is well managed, when it is safe and regular.
Okay, so talking about when it's safe, well managed, let's talk about labor mobility. It's becoming more increasingly important across Africa. How can we better manage migration to contribute to economic growth? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yes. If a country or our member state or a region to really maximize the benefits from migration, it has to promote and really advocate for safe, orderly, and regular migration through one, appropriate policy development at countries of origin, skill development for the migrant, and also standardize policy instruments that will help the young youth population who are searching for opportunities out of the region or within the region for that matter. So the labor mobility is an important factor for the economic development of countries of origin, as we said, when the migrants themselves are really better prepared, when they have well skilled, when they have better protection at the countries of destination. Because there are certain times when migrants are ending at the countries of destination, there were exploitations and the labor abuses. And they were really in a position not to send remittance back to countries of origin or to their families, or for that matter to their communities, but they will be victimized and labor abused by traffickers along the way and also at the countries of destination. So developing the bilateral labor agreement between countries of origin and destination, and developing the skill of the migrant communities in our region, and standardizing skill accreditations that are acceptable to the countries of destination is an important factor in a sense, so that migration really provides maximum benefit to the individual, the labor migrant itself, to the family, and also to the region and the community at large. So it requires really standardized, safe, regular, and orderly policy development that is practical and doable, which gives the young youth a hope that the right way is to go through a regular pathway without opting for the irregular migration, which mostly risks the life of the people in our region, Madam Bile.
Okay, so going back on labor mobility, can you explain to me step by step? For example, if I was someone moving from one country to another country for work, how would it work?
Yeah, thank you very much. With specific to labor mobility, if you are really a young youth who has intention to work abroad.
Sorry, let me interrupt you. I'm a skilled person moving to another country. Let's say I'm a doctor.
Yes.
How will I?
Yes. That also goes through the bilateral labor agreement. So in that case, what you can do as an individual who is a skilled labor migrant, as you rightly said, is really where you look into opportunities, one in our region and also in the other region. In that case, the first thing to do is really to have the existing policy instrument and know which countries are in need of the labor, the kind of skill that you have. And then you will approach to the labor employment agencies in our countries of IGAD member state who are really recruiting skilled youth and see for overseas work in the countries of destination. So in this case, what you will have is based on your training or your skill, and you will look into the labor shortage areas where you best fit in, and then go through the standard pre-departure training or orientation, and you go through the formal or a regular pathway of channel where your safety is being protected, where rights is protected at the countries of destination, so that you will not fall in the hands of the irregular migrant traffickers or abuses or exploitation at the countries of destination. In a sense, the first thing you do is really to look into opportunities that are available based on the skills you have, go through the formal employment agencies, and work out with the ministries that are working on the labor and also skill development, and looking into the bilateral labor arrangement that countries of origin and destination you have. For that matter, if you are Kenyan or Djiboutian, you look into the opportunities for you to work in one of the IGAD member states, being on your skill, which will avail to you the opportunity really to work in the region based on the bilateral legal agreement between the two countries where you are going and your countries of nationality.
We see that many young people take dangerous routes in search of opportunities. And from your experience, what are the underlying drivers of irregular migration? And how can regional cooperation address them? Just not in the IGAD region, but in general.
Yes, there are factors that are contributing to irregular migrations. The first and the foremost in this respect is the economic opportunity or employment opportunities at countries of origin or in their countries of nationality, where there is limited options, economic options. The young or youth population are looking for options outside. In a situation where there is no legal pathways, the young population or youth population end up in the hands of regular traffickers in search of opportunities elsewhere out of the region, which in a sense, there is economic pressure on the young youth, which really forces them to look for opportunities elsewhere either in the closest region, in our region, within the region, and also beyond. Basically, for IGAD region, the most young youth regular migration are moving to the Middle East or the Gulf countries by crossing Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, and where really you have many tragedies of days of young lives in search of opportunities elsewhere. The other challenge in our region that's really more make regular migration rampant is the context of instability, insecurity, and also economic climate change pressures that impacted the livelihood of our community, where the young youths are really losing options on their countries of origin, looking for better opportunities elsewhere. That is also a pressure factor for irregular migration. But it is important for the regional organizations like us and also the member states of IGAD to collaborate and coordinate how better the irregular migration can be managed, and we promote the safe, regular, and orderly migration. One is to strongly really coordinate the national migration systems in our region, and also to have coordination between our member states. And the challenge, because of the irregular migration, is cross-border. It affects really all our member states. So the regional approach to migration management is an important, for which the national coordination mechanism in all our member states has already been in place. And of course, the regional consultative process, which is really been a platform for our member state to come together and develop policy instrument that will help to manage and to reduce at least. You cannot stop irregular migration, but still it is possible to manage with better coordination, with better information sharing, and also by creating economic opportunities at home for the young youth, where there is really more options, stabilities, and regular pathways. The young youth will not opt for irregular migration. So for that, coming together and developing regional systems and policies and instruments that are practical in the countries of origin, it is one of the areas where the regional cooperation is very much important. The major reason why is that migration is not an issue of one country. Even for that matter, it's not an issue of one region. It is a global issue, and that's why we have even global compact on migration, so that the issue can be addressed more at multilateral level, at the global platform, and also continental and regionally. I think that is the major factor and the major systems how we should address irregular migration in our region for the better of the youth and also for our society at large.
Young people may not have access to these policies and integration or policies that are going to be created within the IGAD regions. Is there other ways that we are able to raise awareness of the dangers of these type of migration for them?
Yes, you are totally right. The youth in our region, they may not necessarily really have access to this regional policy development, national policy development. What is now more important is how we can create access to the young youth. There has to be a dedicated institutional arrangement in the system who conveys the right message at the right time to the right audience in a way that the young youth got the right information on the available options and opportunities to promote safe and regular labor mobility in that regard.
So I have one final question for you. If there was one message you would like all citizens across the Horn of Africa to take away from this conversation, what would it be?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think there are a clear message for our government of the IGAD member state in terms of promoting safe, regular, and orderly migration. The one important message is really to facilitate the regular pathways in their respective countries so that the young youth will have options to go for and to look. One of these important one is to develop a bilateral labor agreement with destination countries, and also to look for developing the skill of labor migrant before they depart for really working overseas in countries of destination. So developing the regular pathways is one, and also skill development for the youth is really the key message I would convey to our member state. For the young youth who are aspiring to work in countries of destination, the first and the foremost is really to undergo proper skill training so that migration is based on informed decisions. They have to be aware of really what are the challenges, the risk of migration, and also the potential benefits that is involved in. So informed decision is required where the labor migrants themselves really explore the existing options in the form of safe and regular labor mobility, and also checking the regular systems that give them opportunity, which is made usually through the employment agencies that are facilitating the recruitment of labor migrant, which our young youth should take a message that they should verify the authenticity and also how those really agencies are operating at countries of origin, whether they are the well legally established ones or whether they are the exploitative ones. So they have to verify and make sure that they are going under proper agencies and getting the rights work at the right countries of destination where the rights are protected. So in short, the message is really to look into the options of employment opportunities through the employment agencies that are verified, authenticated, and registered and known by the countries of origin and destination. That will ensure their safety and also their as migrant worker to protect their right at the end of the day. So that is really the key message I want to convey to our member states and also our young youth who are aspiring to work elsewhere as out of the region and also supporting themselves and their families and broadly their country. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Throughout this conversation, we've heard that migration is more than movement from one place to another. It is about people seeking opportunities, communities adapting to change, and countries working together to create a pathway that are safe, orderly, and beneficial for all. I'm your host, Bilal Mohammed. Thank you. Until next time.